is white.
Ah, why?
Because it was started in Greece in a monastery.
Monastery.
Monastery, in the monastery where all the monks used to dress black tunica.
Yeah, tunic. Okay. Or
tunic with
it would actually be what's the name? I can't remember. There's a special name for the clothes of a monk.
Yeah, a
like
sort of
sai or whatever it's called, but in English I can't remember what it is. Yeah. The monk's robes, maybe something like that.
And they usually they have a very high hat, black hat.
Ah, okay.
Because they are Orthodoxian.
Yes.
The origin of white hat for the cooks or for the cookers was
for the cooks
was to distinguish them from the monks.
Ah, okay.
Inside the monastery.
Inside the monastery.
So it's a very, very old origin there in the past, you know, because they have these monasteries so isolated in the top of the mountains.
Is it Athos, that area, wherever? Yeah.
And that kind of hat was loved from French people, from English people, from German people, and they decided to use it inside a kitchen, a professional kitchen.
Use it for the kitchen. Oh, okay, that's interesting. It's curious.
And there in Greece, there is a tradition that this hat and even the uniform has to be every day clean, white.
Oh,
white, because it's not a symbol of safe and safety, but even you can distinguish in very perfect way from the monks. And this idea was exported in Europe and even in the
exported to Europe. Yes. Okay.
To Europe.
Yeah.
Exported to Europe.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. It's. I'll check that out. Museum Tribe. It sounds quite interesting, actually. Maybe that's the future of a certain amount of tourism. I don't know, because I think you can't imagine sort of going and seeing everything that there is to see in the world, and certainly not now getting on an aeroplane with the cost and the environmental cost of it. I think those days must have stopped. Yeah. So maybe this is an alternative.
It all started because of the COVID situation.
Yeah.
Yes, because I started with them 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I don't know if the situation will be better if they continue all the time or if they stop, because they are guides, you know, they are touristic guides. I don't know. But until they continue propose it, I
so as long as they keep proposing it. But I mean I think to be honest with you, as I say, you know, it doesn't sound like a bad idea, and it could even be I don't know how much a visit is, but it could even be that you take a virtual tour and then you say, yeah, okay, I'd quite like to visit that place. Yeah, it's sort of a bit like you look around before you go, sort of thing. But I don't know. Okay, I've got Emanuela here, but I don't know whether she's with us or not because she's blanked out. She's probably listening.
She wrote that has got an online meeting.
Ah, okay.
So
okay, so she's just listening in, right? So the thing is, Christine, it's just us. It's literally just us. So I think what we could do is we can just sort of talk, just chat a bit. I think that's the only thing we can do, because it's a bit sort of maybe one or two things I could work through with you, because I've noticed something in the conversation we just had. But yeah, so you read, what sort of things do you, what sort of books do you read during the school year or whatever? Do you have a particular favorite type of book, or?
No. Sometimes if I don't have an idea, I make a research.
Mm-hmm. No, so you hold on. So you, if you don't have any ideas, you look for some ideas, okay? You don't make a research, you do research, okay?
I do a research.
No. You don't do a research, you do research.
I make a research, sorry.
No, you don't make a research. You do research. There's no article, okay?
Oh, okay.
Because you don't use it here. Research is scientific, technological, whatever, yeah? That's research. You go looking for, you search for, you look for, okay? You look for ideas, you search for ideas, okay? Yeah. Because in Italian you say faccio una ricerca, which makes sense here, but it doesn't translate to the English sense of research. Okay, it's a false friend.
A kind of an uncountable.
Yeah, it's one of those false friends. Yeah. So if in doubt, you search for, you look for. Okay. So what do you look? What do you tend to read?
Well, when I don't have an idea, I look for ideas, online ideas, or I go to the public library and I read the titles or the first part inside the book or some pages, and then I decide. Because I have read so many books and sometimes I don't have an idea.
Have you ever found yourself in the situation where you've started reading a book thinking, this seems a little bit familiar, and you remember that you actually read it years ago?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not just me.
But I decided to read it till the last pages, till the last page, even a second time, because it was not bad. It was a funny book, and I didn't recognize at the beginning that I have read it before.
Ok, yes. Scusami un attimo, faccio sapere. Yeah, so do you have, so you just read anything? Anything, or do you have some preferences? Microphone?
It depends. It depends. I was able in the past to read even books very, very different for my common way to choose books. For instance, I've read a scientific book or a philosophical book, very, very
no, that's hard. That's
rich
hard
of difficult. It was like a university book of philosophy, but I decided to read all the book and try to see if I could understand something.
And
sometimes, but not everything. Not everything. Some some thoughts were so difficult to reach.
Yeah, very, yeah. I think it can be. Well, I mean, that is definitely something that I would probably avoid. So, do you prefer fiction or non-fiction?
I don't know. It depends from how the writer writes the book, how is an intriguing book or not. I think that sometimes the way you write makes the difference.
Hey, ciao, Manuela.
Excuse me. Sorry.
No. No, I was just saying to Christina, it's okay. This is just a chat because there's only a couple of us today. So it's now I don't know what's going to happen when they see this on YouTube because it's just.
No, sorry. I finished the meet a little bit. A few minutes ago, but then there was an emergency. My parents called me. No, they couldn't find the phones or mobiles or something like. So I had to, okay. And so these days things goes in this way.
Yeah. It's
say, Gordon, out of control, completely out of control.
Yeah.
How do you say in English?
Yeah. Just everything's going mad. Everything's just going mad. You could say.
Okay.
Going mad.
It's something else.
Yeah, you'd say it's really mental. But
sorry.
Yeah, so we're just talking with Christina about books, and I'm trying desperately to get her to tell me what sort of books she reads, but she just keeps telling me that she reads everything. And so I found out that she's not so keen on university philosophy books. But I'm not getting any closer to finding out whether she likes horror books or whether she whether she likes crime books. Do you read crime books?
Why not?
Oh, okay, so it's words on a printed page. Okay. No, because in our house, I mean, I go through periods where I read a lot of articles just because I find stuff. I go looking for stuff, and I have an idea, and for a school project or something like this, and I read around it and sort of try and find some ideas and stuff. And so I tend to live my life through the computer screen to a certain extent. And so reading, I have to really force myself to read stuff that's not articles and things. But every so often I manage to get into the vein, and then I'll read 3 or 4 books by the same author, and then I'll stop. So what about you, Emanuela? Do you like reading?
I like reading, but
time.
Yeah, I'm not reading so much in these years, to say the truth. One reason is, of course, I have to read for school.
Yeah.
And so, as you told before, a lot of time, I spend a lot of time reading some articles or something like that I need for school, or looking for material, so something like that. It's a little bit a spot reading. And I try to read some books, because usually this happens. For example, I listen to somebody talk, or I watch TV, and there are some, for example, some programs about books or stuff like that. And I start thinking, it would be wonderful to read this book, or read again this book after years. And so I tend to begin the lecture, to begin the reading of the book. But the result is that I have 5 or 6 or 8 books
which is sort of halfway.
or in the bathroom or in the kitchen. And I only read a few pages, and then I haven't got the time, or I change the project, something like that.
Yeah. No, I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that, because I have 2 or 3 books which are sort of at different stages, and I pick them up and then I'll say, oh, okay, and I'll manage to pick the thread up sometimes, but sometimes I don't. I have to put it down and start again. But
that's quite difficult.
Sorry?
Now, quite difficult to read for me in this period. Of course, normally I say to myself then during the summer, of course I would have the time. No, I'm going to have the time to read everything.
Yeah.
And what really happens is that when I am on holiday, I usually do a lot of things during the day. I mean, sometimes I go traveling, and I'm really tired in the evening because I walk a lot or do a lot of things during the day. So when it's time to read, I have to sleep or something like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when I stay in a place, normally I don't know, I try to relax. I read a little bit, but I can't realize what exactly happens. That is going to happen. But the fact is, I read very few pages also during, more than during winter time, or sometimes if I am very lucky and I begin a book that I'm really interested in. Then in that case, for example, in 3 or 4 days, I can.
Yeah. Do you have any particular types of books that you like reading, or?
I like novel. I like novels. Okay. I don't like much yellow, gialli, no?
Crime stories. Yeah. I heard. I read somewhere, why they're called gialli.
Sorry?
I read somewhere why they were called, or why they are called gialli. It's because there was a series of books by Mondadori or some publisher in the 50s.
Because of the covers.
Yeah, and they were era una collana, and they all had yellow covers. So they just,
English? No. Does it exist something like this in English?
No. Well, actually, it's funny you should say that, because in English, you would talk about crime. You'd say it's a crime novel. Okay. You might, if you're being a little bit more erudite, you might use the word noir, the French term for black. Yeah. And because that's a very particular type of crime novel. Okay. But I have seen, in the last year and a half or so, I have seen the word giallo in an article in The Guardian about crime books. So I don't know whether it's one of those words which will eventually just find its way. You'll find it in English at some point.
Be able to win this one.
Yeah, no, because these things happen. Like, for example, panino. Panino is in English, but it's only in the plural, panini. Yeah. So people will ask you, do you want a panini? Yeah. So which is just a bit weird. But anyway.
Do you use a word similar to poliziesco?
What would that now? Oh, good Lord. Just try to think. Would that be?
Probably crime.
Yeah, I think it would come under the umbrella of like a crime story. Yeah, a crime novel.
Yeah. I usually like novel, but some kind of novel. For example, I like very much Latin America literature.
Ah, okay.
I don't know, Sepúlveda, Gabriel Garcia.
Yeah. I like that too.
Allende.
Vargas Llosa.
The dictionary says detective story. So
yeah, detectives. Yeah.
Poliziesco
Probably Poliziesco's translated as detective stories. Detective, to be honest with you, detective story sounds a little bit 1950s. Sounds a bit old. So, but yeah, that would, that works. Yeah. What about, I suppose, Garcia Marquez?
I've read this book also a lot of years ago.
I think you have to.
I read, yeah. No, I in some period of my life I started reading an author, and then I discovered that I liked him. So I continued to read a lot of books. But usually it happens that, for example, for Isabel Allende, it happened to me because I liked her very much, but then she started changing style also because of the death of her daughter Paula, I think.
Okay.
And then she also wrote a very different kind of novel. They were, I think, very good for students. It was like a trilogy, trilogy, La città delle
trilogy.
Something that was very
Adaptable.
Adapted for students, yeah. And
adapted for students, yeah.
I like them, but I started. I couldn't recognize her in this new kind of way to tell stories.
This new style.
I'll
write some of this on the chat because I realize that might.
And another thing that happens is that, for example, when there is a book that becomes very famous, when a lot of people talk to me about a book, normally, it depends, of course, on what kind of people talk to me about the book. But normally, if the book is really very famous, I don't like to buy it. It's like
so what do you do? Do you steal it?
Reject. I don't do.
Oh, you reject. You reject it because if you don't like to buy it, you could steal it.
Yeah, and it happens that after after some months or sometimes some years, I finally decide to read the book because it seems to me that I don't know, it becomes caso editoriale.
Yeah, it's sort of it becomes a little bit sort of overblown.
Overblown, but
it's a bit sort of, it could be. Yeah. It's a little bit in the moment, so it's a bit sort of
I need to let deposit sedimentare.
You need to let it settle. To settle. To settle is sedimentare.
Yeah, normally
in this case.
Yeah, because probably.
So
sorry.
No. That's good.
No, probably I think I need to have the proof of the time to be sure that kind of novel is really valid or interesting, or something like that.
Okay. Cristina, do you just read in Italian or do you read in English as well?
Well, sometimes I love reading in English, but I agree with Emanuela about what she said of Allende.
About what she said about Allende.
Yes, the same idea. The first books, I appreciated them very much, but after a certain point, I didn't recognize her style anymore. I recognize a difference between the books or among her books. I remember talking about the museums before. If you decided to go, if you like to go there, this weekend, this Saturday, it will be, it is called the Night of Museums.
Ah.
Yeah, so if you want, you can go and visit some museums during the night, and they are free entrance.
Ah,
So,
okay. Right, I'll make a
now.
note of that. So I'm just thinking, I saw the film, A Night in the Museum.
Yes, it's an idea. I think it's an idea captured from the film.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if you look in the internet,
yeah, I'll find it.
How can I, if you like, how can I book the entrance? Because you have to book before.
Of course. Okay. Yeah, sounds interesting actually. Yeah, next I think I'll be, well, we'll be going to an exhibition on Monday. We're going to Venice. My wife and I have got a day off. We're going to Venice, and I've found out that there is an exhibition by an artist called Anish Kapoor, who is a modern conceptual artist. Yeah, but to be absolutely honest with you, I mean, I've seen some of his stuff and it looks reasonably interesting, but I really want to see some materials that he's made, that he's used, because he's used a material which he has the exclusive property or worldwide rights to, and it is the blackest material ever made. It doesn't sound very exciting, but it's the blackest material that's ever been made. And if you see photographs of it, you see photographs of this stuff, people standing next to it in a room, it looks like someone's cut a hole out in space. It's just unreal. So I have to see this.
Something like plastic or
no, it's actually, no, the reason why I know about this is because I do some stuff on nanotechnology, and this is a let's say a non-military use of this particular, because it's actually stuff that the military use. And also it's used in scientific instruments and stuff. But it's a let's say, technical use of this material. It's used in sculpture. But it's made of, I don't know whether you've heard of nanotubes. Carbon nanotubes are like literally little cylinders of carbon atoms. And they coat a surface with it. And what happens is the light hits the surface and it bounces around between these tubes, and it can't escape. The energy just gets dissipated. So 99.9% of the energy, the light energy that falls on the surface, just gets dissipated as heat. And it's just so when we see black, if you look around you and you see an object, you say, oh yeah, that is black. Actually, if you were an artist, you say, no, it's dark gray, because it reflects, it's reflecting light. The light doesn't reflect off this stuff. It just goes in, basta. So I can't imagine what it's like to see up.
Have you seen some pictures on the web?
Yeah, actually, I'll see if I can find. The problem is that the pictures just don't do it justice, in the sense that because there's still pictures which you are. Okay, right. So let me see if I can find it. There's one of a scientist holding it. This just it just looks ridiculous. Let me just open this and then I'll share the screen. Open a new tab. Okay. Right. Okay. I'm just going to share my screen now. Here it is. Can you see this? it just looks like someone's cut a piece out of the picture. You can't photograph it. You can't photograph it properly. So if you look at this, thing, for example, these things here, these are knobs. This handle, you'd say it's black, okay, but this is even more black because you can see actually it's a type of gray because you would see the light reflecting off it. This doesn't reflect.
Is it toxic? That I see.
Right. Okay. That's a very interesting point because apparently it's you have to be very careful with it. So you can't. It's not like you can buy a box of it or a can of it and use it. It has to be done in a very particular way. And I think what's happening is that people are starting to understand a bit more about let's say the potential toxicities of some of these nano materials. Yeah, but no, I sort of diverted the conversation a little bit, but it was just this thing about museums. So, and of course, Venice itself is like a museum as well. So
it is written that he uses the controversial Vanta Black.
Yes, exactly. The controversial Vanta Black, the blackest material known to man and woman. Yeah, so it's quite. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to going to Venice as well. So yeah. So coming back to books, Christina, you said you read books in English as well sometimes.
Yes, sometimes, I usually read The Guardian in English.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Almost every day, but not all the articles. I just choose one interesting article because sometimes they can give me more information than other, for instance, TV news or other.
Is there a particular section that you read?
No, I just scroll and look for the news and sometimes something, but especially some articles are really very with a lot of details, and there is like a sort of debate where the writer, the journalist, can find to go to search the cause for it.
Yeah. So I'm just sharing my screen because I don't know, Emanuela, do you ever watch The Guardian, read The Guardian?
No, normally.
No, because if you probably don't have any time, but if you are looking for sort of relatively, let's say, contained articles, but which are not just like 3 paragraphs, this is actually a very good source. I mean, leaving aside the news, there's a lot of stuff on culture. There's a lot of stuff on films, and I think some of these things are really quite good.
Abbonamento, Gordon?
No. It's free. It's free.
It's free. Yeah. If you want, you can contribute.
Yeah, you can send them €10 if you want.
Yes, but I usually read it not every day, but almost every day because I really like it, and I can choose even using The Guardian different topics. Sometimes I read something interesting about food or about nature. Or not only the political situation or the war, but even a lot of different other subjects.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about food actually, and there are some really nice recipes here. And there's this lady here, Rachel Roddy. She actually lives in Rome, And so this is interesting from an Italian point of view, because she's I think her family is Italian. I think she's married an Italian, so basically and she always comes up with some really nice recipes. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in here. There you go. How about this? How to make the perfect pasta con le sarde. It's all sorts of asparagus fritters. The other thing is there's a lot of stuff which is maybe a little bit strange, but there's some stuff which is a little bit out of the normal. Okay, so
and I also realized that some news, some word news, I can distinguish a different perspective from UK than from Italy.
I mean, I tend to read. I read the Guardian a lot. I mean, I read it every day, and I read just about everything. And I read Repubblica as well. And I
same for me.
Yeah, and I see that there, in some cases, there's a very, 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 very different perspective.
About international.
Yeah. This lady's she's quite funny as well. There she is in a bath of pasta. There's quite the other ones that they have here. Let's see if I can find them. God, what are they called? They have a thing, a section called the long read, and if you want a bit more information on something,
I've tried them.
And they're really
very accurate,
well done. Very well done.
Even about the planet's problems, they are really very interesting. And sometimes you can have a look even to the podcast. And they have
podcasts now. They have podcasts now. So there you go.
A long read means that you can follow the new during the time, or that
no. It's an article. It's a particular article about a particular topic, but it's not. It would be, if you printed it off, it would be like something like a 5 or 6 page essay.
Okay.
So in other words, there's more. There's more meat on it.
Like a reportage, something, because I have the subscription to National Geographic, and also there you can find articles, topics, and normally they are very long, but they are long also because there are a lot of pictures.
Well, you see, the thing is, National Geo is famous for its photography. It's a phenomenal level of photography, which are some of those things. A few years ago in Geneva, I saw we saw an exhibition of what's he called, McCurry.
The woman with
the Afghan lady with the green eyes, or the Afghan girl with the green eyes. We saw an exhibition of his photographs. It was just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable stuff.
It is very useful for school too, because, for example, when I teach history or geography, I can find very interesting articles. And, for example, in this period, my students are working. They have prepared some works about different topics. For example, the pollution of the air, or sexual. Rape, la tratta sessuale.
So that's what is it? It's sexual slavery. It's the human trafficking.
For example, the arms, how people use the guns and the production and.
So if you're interested in a very good level, let's say, of information The Guardian on the climate and then the environment is very good. It has and in particular, this guy, God, what's his first name? I can never remember his first name.
The only thing is, of course, students have
George
to
Monbiot.
understand.
Monbiot. Okay. This guy, he's a journalist who has specialized in environmental stuff over the years, and he writes very, very, very good articles.
Is it also possible to, I mean, can you translate on the web page? Articles?
I think it's not necessary, because I can understand almost everything in the article, because they are written in a good way, and the aim is that everybody can understand the meaning of it. They do not use very strange words. No.
Yeah, and in fact, I quite often find myself I'm reading the article and I have a look at some of the comments, and in the comments sometimes people throw in words that I've never heard of before, so I go and look them up, and every so often you will find some stuff like that, but they are written. This is a big difference. I've noticed this is a big difference between for example, the print version of Corriere della Sera, for example, because we always get it on Saturday and Sunday as the print paper, and the language is, some of it is really quite complicated, like sentence structures, which it's like, God, are you going to finish this bloody sentence? The Guardian is completely different. It's well written, but it's very because the whole point is to communicate what they're trying to tell you, and so it's very clear. It's very, very clear. So I would recommend it. You wouldn't need to translate it, honestly.
No, I was thinking about my students. For example, I was talking about, they are
how old?
Second class. They are 15 years old. 15.
Okay. Okay, what you could do, I mean, okay, so let's say the content is the most important thing. So you can always point, you can go onto Google Translate and you point it at a website and it will translate the website for you. And you can and I think these days you even have the Chrome browser allows you to always translate websites if they're not in your language. So, and to be absolutely honest with you, the Google Translate these days is just,
they can manage it.
It's just ridiculously good in most cases. Yeah. So I think that this is a very, very good source of stuff, and they have all sorts of stuff here. There's even some science, and they talk about some science experiments. Oh yes, this is the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way that's just been photographed, for example. Yeah, so well worth checking out, I think. So I've done my publicity for the Guardian. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so sort of reading, I think reading in if you can read across a couple of languages, it's actually quite good, I think, and particularly for this type of thing, because you can also, as Christina says, you can compare perspectives, which can be quite eye-opening, actually.
Christina, excuse me, I don't remember. But are you a teacher? Yes, you are a teacher. Okay. And
I'm a primary teacher. But I love reading a lot and do different things apart from my primary school.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think for a teacher, it's almost vocazione. How can I say?
Yeah, a vocation. Vocation.
Vocation. I
Yeah,
think,
the word in English is vocation. In fact, you talk about
yes, to be a teacher. I mean, if it is a teacher, probably or surely it must be very curious, a very curious
yeah,
person.
yeah. I think so. I think that's part of. I think. Yeah, I think if I think about what the common thread is through all of the stuff that I've done, it's curiosity. Hopefully, as they say, it's not as they say, curiosity kills the cat. But
I was thinking about that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, aspetta.
Yeah.
I remember
Because of course it was sorry.
No, I can't remember the music, but
yeah, it was a group from the 1980s, I think.
My age.
Yeah, I don't remember their music either, but I do remember the name, of course. Yeah, because it's one of those sayings. Yeah, it's actually a saying in the language. So so if someone is getting a bit nosy and they're asking you sort of personal questions, you say, yeah, you know what happened to the cat? Yeah, curiosity.
Very strange. It was a very strange name. Yes.
Yeah. It's just a saying, an old saying. But yeah. Okay. So
excuse me, I wanted to ask, is this our last lesson?
No, actually, I got a message from Caroline.
So we have to.
We have to recover the ones that we missed, and I think we missed 2, so there should be 2 extra ones. Okay. Now, I honestly have no idea how many people are going to come along to this, because I suspect that everyone is like this with end of school stuff now. So anyway, that's the way it is. So there will be one next week, and I think the week after.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I will check that, because there was one that we missed because the connection was just so bad that we couldn't actually do anything, and there was another one that we missed because no one could actually get into the meeting. There was one person in the meeting, I think. So there were two to recover. Okay. Yeah. So can I just ask you guys a question? So thinking about going back to books, going back to novels, can you tell me, what do you think about Alessandro Baricco? The way he writes.
I loved his first books.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
which
really,
ones?
Which was? I can't remember the title. Wow, books, more than one. Sorry, Christian, more than one. First books. Okay.
Yes. The first books he wrote for me was really very interesting, and he wrote them very well. But some last books, okay, I read them, but I was not so, wow, how brilliant it is. No.
So was it Seta, which was one of the early ones?
Seta,
yes, I've read it.
Rabbia, forse di sabbia. I can't remember. I read the first ones too. I didn't like them so much, except I loved Novecento. Novecento is.
Yeah.
I use it more and more times at school with students because it's really wonderful. And also, of course, it's quite brief. So they love when they see it is brief. I'm not so fond of Baricco. No, I appreciate him when, for example, he gives some lessons. But for example, I've heard something about the Iliade, something like that.
Yeah, because he wrote an alternative version of.
I massive
Yeah,
podcast, something like that.
yes, yeah, and he's broadcast it as well. Yeah, I read that.
And there were some students, I think, of Olden School, I don't know, and they explained, not explained, yeah, or explained some scenes of epic poems, but from a different point of view.
Yeah. Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah. It
Yes.
was.
And in a different way of intriguing people in reading. You know.
Yeah.
So the first times I thought they were wonderful. The idea, the concept is very new, but at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just pulled up a list, and I remember I read Seta, which I mean, 90. No, I must have read it early 2000.
The connection.
2000, I think. Connection.
You are freezed, Gordon.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I was just pulling up this probably because I've got another browser open. Yeah. So I read I remember reading the something about Sabbia.
Castelli di Sabbia.
Oh, Castelli di Rabbia.
È uno dei due.
Yeah, Castelli di Rabbia. Yeah, I remember, and I read quite a few of the early ones, and I really got a buzz from the words. It was what made me really get into Italian, because it's really very, very. I could just see this very special use of the words, which I thought was it was really attractive. It was really nice. But yeah, no, I just wondered what you thought, whether it was whether it's worth it or not. But
I think that there is I was very curious about the school he founded.
Oh, okay.
Olden School, I think, but and also I wanted to, because we have the bonus docenti, I thought about attending some course, but they are really expensive. So I decided that probably, I don't know, I realized that probably he did this for money instead of for.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I thought it was
it's commercial.
No, I can't explain, because for me, okay, you have to earn money because you are a professionist and professionista.
Yeah, professional.
Professional, isn't it an adjective? No.
And also.
Also the noun. Okay, you are a professional, and you need to earn with your job, and you have competence. So okay, it's you can ask money if you do some courses. But I think if you really are fond of what you are doing, and if you really want to share a little bit your knowledge, perhaps you can do the same, putting different prices. I mean, not exactly cheap prices, but normal prices. They are really expensive, in my opinion, at least in my opinion. And I am a teacher, and I work. So, for example, I was thinking about young people that like to learn how to write, how to describe, I don't know, how to tell a story. I think it's quite difficult for a young guy that want to learn something, attend a course
like that, because it's too expensive. Yeah. Well, I think there's pros and cons. There's pros and cons to all of this stuff. So It may be, that he sees, perhaps he has a particular market in mind. And this is where, let's say, the art is no longer is secondary, because it's actually it's a job, so it's making money, and it's.
It seems like if it is an elite school, a school for elite, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's the way many things are.
Yeah.
Once you get to a certain level, it's you have either you have the money or you don't get access to the stuff, which is, well, depending on what it is, it may not be ethically correct. But I see we've got Martha here, or Marta. Now, I don't know whether she's lurking.
Good evening.
Hello. Hello. Oh, the audio is horrible. I don't know whether you can see us, but the audio is not good. I don't know what's happened there. So
sorry.
If you put something on the chat, say something on the chat, maybe.
Which question?
Okay, right, now I can hear you. No, because before the audio was horrible. We couldn't hear. We couldn't hear. Okay, so hi, how are you?
A little fine.
Okay, yeah. So are you just do you want to join in, or are you just wanting to listen today?
I prefer to listen to you.
Okay, that's fine, because I don't want to stress you. Okay, because we're talking about books and stuff, and reading and things. So
okay.
So I suppose cultural stuff. What about Christina? What about films? Do you ever find yourself watching films?
I love watching films, especially in English. Sometimes with the subtitles, other times without subtitles. And for instance, yesterday evening, I watched a film related to 9/11, and in English, of course. It was interesting. It was interesting how the effects of a tragedy can last for years, and the effects on a young boy, which had a disturb. He has a disturb, but the tragedy, how can I say, exaggerated it. It was interesting.
Yeah,
with Tom Hanks.
Okay, yeah, the language around this is a little bit delicate, let's say, but you would talk about someone as being disturbed. Okay, you talk about someone as being disturbed. Yeah. If you want to be a bit more precise, you could say mentally disturbed. Okay, but as I say, the language around this is a little bit delicate. You have to be sort of careful with this.
I remembered probably the symptom of Asperger.
Yeah. Okay.
Problems.
Yes. Asperger, which is a type of, it's on the autism spectrum. So, yeah, I think I might have seen about 3 seconds of that film, and I was hopping between channels, and I switched the damn thing off.
It was not a very easy film, especially if you listen it in English language, because the guy, the young guy, speaks very, very fast. It was another symptom of his mentally disturbed.
His mental, mental
disturbed. he used to speak in a very complicated way because all the remembers, all the images,
all the memories.
all of these memories, how can I say, sovrapporre?
Okay, was superimposed.
Okay.
Superimposed. Oh, sorry, not with the F.
Superimposed.
Yeah, sovrapporre. Superimposed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Superimposed while he was speaking. So it was quite difficult, but I was, you know, I gave a lot of my attention to try to understand what he was speaking about. And at the end, I understood and realized many things and the connection,
between things. Okay, that's good.
Apart from that, when Tom Hanks spoke, he was quite easy to understand.
Yeah. Tom Hanks is one of the easier actors to understand, I think. Dustin Hoffman is terrible because he doesn't open his mouth.
Accent. Yes, I know, because now for me it is normal to watch the film in English. And I'm very curious about the different English accent or American accent. It's interesting.
Yeah. The other thing is the voices. So I remember something. This struck me this was a long time ago. I was talking to a Spanish girl, and this was way back in England, and she said something about she was shocked the first time that she heard Clint Eastwood because of course they dubbed the films just like here, and of course they have a particular actor, and usually it's that actor is the voice of the person in that country. And apparently in Spain they give him a completely different voice. So she says it sounded nothing like him. But well, okay. So what about you, Emanuela? Do you watch films, or do you like films?
I like to. No, I like movies. Yeah, I like films. I like to watch them, but it's quite difficult.
Time.
No, you know, I realized that I do a lot of things during the week, apart from school things, school duties. And so, for example, it's quite rare for me to look at TV to watch TV in the evening.
Yeah. Okay.
And but I like very much movies. I used to have a subscription, annually subscription to Cineforum.
Yeah. Okay.
In these last 2 years, it didn't work. So, and for me, the only way to be sure to go to the cinema and to see movies. I like very much. Yeah.
So, which Cineforum was it?
I live in Verona. Perhaps you know.
So, is it at the Fiume?
Circuit Fiume Pindemonte.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But they aren't working now. I mean, they are working, but not with Cineforum.
Yeah.
And the fact is, if I'm not obliged, in the end.
Yeah, it's a bit like going to the gym, isn't it?
I remember the years when I had this subscription. I almost always I was running to see the movie of the 4 weeks you could see, because I don't know if Christina knows, but you have 3 weeks, perhaps 3 weeks you have 3 weeks of time to see the same movie in 4 different cinemas. So it is very difficult to lose the movie, and I was able to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, I went the last time, very last time, because of school meetings and something.
Yeah. But as you say, it's a good way of it's a good way of seeing films. Also seeing films maybe that you wouldn't normally catch easily. Now, I remember going to Cineforum, but way back in the 90s. So it's part of my, let's say, part of my learning Italian. And I remember, I mean, the choice of some of the films was a little bit, let's say, debatable.
Quite different from now, because
yeah, I think so, because there were yeah, it was pesante, mamma mia.
And also I think there were discussions, there were after the movie, no, I think
Yeah, sometimes there were we tended to not go when there were the discussions, but yes, in some presentations there were discussions.
It's quite different. Yeah. And also there are also quite light, I mean, not so heavy. Once I remember I went to Pindemonte, and I obliged a cousin of mine to come with me.
Yeah,
and
okay.
It was something
you forced your cousin to go with you.
Come with me, yeah. And the title of the movie was something like, it sounded something like la lacrima, not drop, the tear of Cammello.
Okay.
And I think there were something like 10 words during all the film. In the end, we finally could see the camel cry, so it was a satisfaction.
Yeah. No, I mean,
poor cousin.
Oh yeah. And so that person will never go to the cinema again, at least not with Emanuela, because
I don't know how to say. Abbiamo toccato il fondo.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. I think
bottom.
Yeah, we were scraping the barrel. Yeah, it's.
For me too.
Could you please write it down?
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So you say you'd say scraping.
Raschiare il barile.
Yeah, il fondo del barile, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Okay. So that's like when you get right to the bottom of the stuff, and it's like it can't get any worse. Yeah, I remember a particularly bad season. I think it was the last one, because I said no more. Basta, I've had enough. There was one film was an Albanian film called After the Rain. I remember the photography. Some of the photography was quite nice, but it was like one of those really long films that.
The photography was nice.
Yeah, Stalingrado. Mamma mia, that was horrible. And it was just like, oh no, basta. No. So. Yeah. I think the other thing though is for me, or for let's say non-Italian speakers, watching films on television or going to the cinema, the dubbing is quite strange, because I've met English people who have been here a long time, and they say they just can't stand it. But I just switch it on, and I just don't even notice it anymore. Yeah. So
I realize that people that is acting, that actors, I mean, people that is acting, aren't talking? I mean, do they realize there is a gap between?
I don't know. It's just for some people, it's I don't know. Maybe when they're watching the scenes or what have you, the fact that the lips are out of sync or what have you, it really disturbs them. But I just don't even notice it. No, I don't know whether that's because it's one of those things I wouldn't notice anyway. I don't know. But it just doesn't bother me any. It never did bother me, but it doesn't bother me particularly. But
when you start listening to the original voice of the actors, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
Now I prefer in the original language. For instance, some days ago, I watched a film, and it was a famous American actress. I can't remember her name. 9 settimane e mezzo.
Kim. No, Kim Basinger. No.
No, sorry. No. Thank you. Sharon Stone. I was impressed how clear was her voice. But when you listen in Italian language, it's different. It's more a sensual voice. It gives you another idea. But in the original language, her voice is very, very normal, and she tends to speak clear and quiet. So it's a different, it's a strange choice that Italians translators made with her.
Yeah.
Because not in all the different movies she interprets a sensual behavior, you know. And so that's the reason that I prefer listen movies in the original voice, in English, of course, in English, not other languages, because I know only.
Well, that's curious. That's interesting, because in the UK there is no dubbing. They don't dub. So if you watch a French film, you get the French film with English subtitles. Okay, and so when I was a student, a guy in the lab was a real cinemaphile, a real cinema buff. And so there was an art house cinema in the city where we were. And this changed program every 2 or 3 days. There were new films on. And so we saw, I don't know how many films, Kurosawa in Japanese. No, fantastic films. And it was just part of the thing. All of the French films in French, of course. Didn't understand a word, but you're reading subtitles. German films in German, and it was just part of the thing.
May I ask one thing to Cristina? But where do you watch this kind of movie in the original?
Because I'm a curious person. You realize that. I realize that there is an option, a free option on TV. If you search, you click. It's an opportunity.
But where do you movie on Rai or Netflix, or
in many different channels you can have the opportunity to choose the language. Well, not every time you can do that, but you can try. Yes, you can try even the English language, sometimes other languages, and subtitles. Not every time the subtitles, especially not English subtitles. Sometimes there is Italian subtitles, and I do not choose them. So in that cases, I just listen in English.
It's part of the digitale terrestre, no?
Do you mean
Yes.
in normal TV? I mean, not
Yeah.
not
Yes, without paying anything, and I think that many people don't know this opportunity. So it's I discovered it. How can I say, per caso?
Yeah,
By chance.
just by chance,
Just by chance, because I'm curious and I
Yeah,
click
playing around with the remote control.
random. Yes,
Yeah.
I would really. I wanted to do it, so I searched a lot, but finally I discovered it's very easy.
So Emanuela, you have to go and spend a couple of hours playing with your television.
Yeah. To look for, I'm going to ask help to somebody.
No, well, actually, no. What you do is
Very easy.
you do a search on the computer, and you will find someone will have a YouTube video about how to do it.
Okay.
Almost certainly.
It's very easy. You bring your remote control. You click on OK. You can see a lot of options, and you choose languages and what you want. For instance, English languages, or you choose subtitles. It's very, very easy. And many of American or English movies, you can listen them
you
the
listen to them in the
original
language. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Useful.
Because
Okay.
it's a wonderful English exercise.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's very
More
good.
better than me.
No, it's very good, because the other thing is watching things on the computer in streaming, and there's, again, you have all sorts of options for that as well. So okay, so it's 7:30, so I think it's time to call.
Sorry, Gordon. Sorry.
Dimmi.
I haven't been able to see the recordings of the lessons for a long time before Easter. What should I do?
That's a good question. Okay, bye, Emanuela. That's a good question.
You can go in Europol.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You digit.
Yes.
You can choose English C1 course.
Sì.
And when you enter inside, you can choose the lesson.
Ma non mi fa vedere niente, ci ho provato.
No, I have already seen some previous lessons. Yes, there is the video.
Yeah,
I will try.